Monarch Experience podcast episode. We are doing a logo reveal. That's right, this is our first grand logo reveal that we are doing, and we are featuring Royal Airs, Student Council, who helped put this whole thing together, and the AV Club, who set up this incredible video package that you are about to watch. We all know why you're here today. You're here because we are going to be unveiling the new official logo for the Monarch Experience podcast, and we have searched far and wide. We searched all of Memorial for the next great artist, the next great graphic designer. We found that individual. And we're going to reveal the new official Monarch Experience podcast logo at the end of this video. But you don't want to fast forward to that. We've got plenty in store for you today. First, we are going to be experiencing every logo submission that has come our way. Student Council is going to be judging each one of the logos that we have received. And we received a lot of logos for the logo design contest that we ran back in the winter. We've already picked our winner, and we are going to let you experience that later today. Also, there's going to be a reunion of our very first episode. That's right, Standardized. The first episode that blew up far bigger than any of us could have ever imagined. We have Victoria Dillon, Madison McKenzie, two students who were off in high school, and we have our very own 8th grader, Sammy Pine. They have sat down with me to chat about what it was like being a part of the first episode. No idea what this would be like, no idea how the recording process and the planning process would go, no idea if this was even a good idea. But they entertained me, and they said, yeah, we're up for it, because those are the kind of people that Sammy, Madison, and Victoria are. And at the end of all of this, after we reveal the new logo, you are going to have access to a Monarch Experience trivia. That's right. You are going to have your ability to flex your Monarch Experience podcast muscles and see how well you know this podcast, how well you know the episode, how well you know our reach, how big this thing actually is. You're going to have that ability. Your teacher is going to post a Google form on Classroom for you to do, and the winners will have the ability to take 2 to 3 of their friends to sit outside. We are in full days in May, and have lunch outside picnic style. Very exclusive. First time ever. That has never happened in the history of Marlboro Memorial Middle School. Never have we had students sitting outside to enjoy the great outdoors while they eat delicious food. And that is going to happen if you are one of the very few who will win the Monarch Experience podcast trivia. So keep an eye out for that. Your teachers will be posting that on Google Classroom right after this video is over. Now, without further ado, you did not come to see me talk in this fabulous jacket. You came to watch and see what logo, which one of your peers is the new official designer of the Monarch Experience podcast.
Hi, I'm Rika, and I'm the Secretary in Student Council.
Hi, I'm Sayuri, and the President in Student Council.
Hi, I'm Dylan, and I am the Co-Vice President of 7th grade in Student Council.
I really love the use of different fonts in this one.
And I like how the E merges into the mic.
Yes, the colors and the colors bring out its inner vibe.
I really love the cute line in this one. It's really cute.
The headphones on the line make it look even better, and it brings out the qualities in the podcast.
I love the color and boldness in this art piece.
I like the coffee shop vibes that you get from the font.
Yeah, it gives like a professional touch, and I also love the paw on the mic.
Yeah, the paw on the mic does add a good touch to the logo.
I like the podcast title on the headphones.
I think having all that color in the background gives it a really nice vibe.
The colors in the background represent how we, in the podcast, have multiple things we specify.
How the title of the podcast comes between the headphones and shows the sound waves.
And also how like the experience also flows into it.
I like how the headphones are on the heart. It shows the emotion that comes in the podcast.
The heart in the middle of the logo really represents how you feel when you listen to the podcast.
The hand and the earbuds remind me of the Korean heart symbol. I think that's what you were trying to go for. If you're not, I'm sorry, but I think that's really cute.
I really loved the effort that went into this overall.
I like the lion that's in the phone. It shows that you listen to the podcast too.
I love the background on this, gives it a really modern touch.
I like the font that makes it fun and joyful.
The formatting of everything makes it makes it look good.
I like the eyes on the heart. It makes it look so cute and adorable.
It's almost hypnotizing, like it's calling me, like pick me.
I'm sure it would make anyone want to watch the podcast.
I love the fierce factor in this, just amazing.
And I love that the title and font doesn't take away from the logo.
It embraces how powerful you feel when you join the podcast.
I like the talk show vibes that the line brings out.
The criteria was great, and this person did an amazing job.
Yep.
I had the pleasure to sit down and chat with Chloe Lee, who is now in high school, off and doing great things. Chloe was the original logo designer for the Monarch Experience podcast. And let me tell you, she dealt with a lot as far as me being, well, let's say, difficult at times. Chloe Lee, we've got Chloe here. Chloe, thank you for joining us. How's it going?
It's not bad. How about you?
I cannot complain. It is always great getting to catch up with former students, especially your year and your class in particular. I think I poured my heart out to you guys enough about how you were, I don't want to say my favorite because I don't want my current students to see me saying that and then having animosity towards me. So I won't say it on air that your class was my favorite class of all time.
All right.
Yeah, don't say that where everyone can hear it. I don't want to do that to myself. Chloe, seriously, it's so great to get to catch up with you, and thanks for being a part of this. So with the Monarch Experience, a logo design contest that we were running, there were some kind of like ideas being tossed around by student council, and they at the beginning of the year were like, I had heard you say kind of like in passing about maybe doing like an upgrade of the design or just like doing something new, doing something that maybe would get the entire school involved, right? And that's like the whole idea of student council, but then that's also the whole point of the podcast. So here you are, the original logo designer. Do you still have that on your like Twitter profile that you're the OG designer?
I think I had that, and I think I like removed it. I should probably put it back.
You should put it back now, right?
I should probably put it back.
Yeah, we're gonna have to at some point, like on like all the info on the Monarch Experience page, like write like original logo design by Chloe, just so that everybody kind of knows that. So I don't know how much you remember. I know Chloe, like I've talked about you on multiple episodes in passing. Always so appreciative of your work and your artistry, but the thing I'm more appreciative of was, I don't know if you remember, you'd hang out during lunch hour a little bit, and I had the idea of the podcast. I've told the story many times. I sprinted down to Mr. Fine's room and was just like, I got this idea, blah, 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 blah. But you were like the second person that I told about. I think it was either you or Victoria Dillon. Why did you think it? I mean, I know you said like, because not a lot of schools have a podcast and all that. What did you think it would be? Did you think it would kind of be what it's kind of become, especially during that first year?
I definitely wouldn't have like thought it would be like that big, that it would be shown up like a bunch of people in like other countries to listen to it. Like that was crazy to me. Like when you started being like, there's people in Brazil listening to it. I was like,
I know. Yeah, I was just as shocked by that too. I was like, why are people outside of New Jersey listening? Forget about like Brazil. Although Germany, we know that one listen maybe in Germany was a little bit. Do you want to tell our audience about that?
That was my mom on a business trip, and like I told her to listen to it. Yep, just to get like more people to listen to it and get it more popular. She was like on a business trip, just listening to it.
I asked you to draw the logo, and you were like, "Cool. When do you need it by?" I'm like, "How about 4 days?"
Yeah, I remember it was like really close.
Yeah, what was that like? Talk to our audience about the experience of me basically telling you. I think I told you you were drawing the logo.
Yeah, I think you were like, you want to draw a logo for my podcast? I was like, okay, because I think you were like planning to like ask another person to like do it, and like if I said like no or I just couldn't do it. So I was just
No.
like, okay, so if I like did it and then he didn't really like it, there was always like that other person that he could pull. I was like, okay.
I don't think so. Was there another person? I think there was always
I-
plan A.
I really feel like you like mentioned like one other person. I was like, okay.
Maybe I said that just to put pressure on you, like, hey Chloe, just in case you're not up for it, I got someone else.
Well, it worked. I was like, I don't know what. It was like the first thing that like I had to like draw for like something specific and like was actually gonna be like out there that like other people were gonna look at.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Germany, right? Other countries.
yeah, Germany. Yep, people
Well-
in Germany are gonna have to look at it.
That's the coolest thing about it though. Like when I reflect on like the fact that, I asked you and told you, and told you, I think is the term. And you were like, yeah, I didn't think anything of it. I was just like, all right, cool. I know she's a good artist. But then as this thing grew, I always thought of you and how like, oh, this is so cool. Like Chloe is a freshman. She is a sophomore now. And as we're recording, you're a sophomore at Marlboro High School. And I just remember always kind of being like, how cool is that this podcast was really just going to be something small for like Marlboro. And it's like everyone is seeing Chloe's logo every time they click on an episode. Every download this thing gets, whether it's on Spotify or iTunes, or if they're listening on Anchor, like literally anywhere the podcast is, the first thing they're seeing is your creation.
Yeah, that's nuts.
So you said that it was the first time you had ever drawn something specific. Have you gone that route now? Do you still draw? Is that a part of the process? Is that part of your life still?
I still like try to draw if I have like free time. If I'm not like on some video game, then I like try to do it. But I kind of like, for me, I don't draw stuff that like out of like my brain. I would have like a reference and I'll just try to like copy it and see how well I can do to copy it. So,
Nice.
yeah, that was like my only like freestyle like project type.
And freestyle it was, because I was like, yeah, I want to change this. I want to change this. I want it to look like this. I want it to look like this. And you're like, oh my God, why don't you just draw it?
Like I have like some creative aspect, but like I can't completely make the idea on my own. So like that's why I asked you a lot for like what you wanted, and I also asked like my brother like what I should have done with it, and then I kind of like ran it by you first.
Yeah, do you have any of those? Do you have any of the original sketches lying around?
A post-it from your desk from like
Yeah.
from like 2 years ago.
Oh, let's see it.
I don't know if you can still see it, but it says the Monarch Experience. That was like the and then there's this one on the left is just an M and like an E like together. I don't know if you can really see it. And
Yeah.
then this one was like a M and an E, like a reflection in the middle.
You got like the M and the E like this.
Yeah, like that.
Like
It was
we
a
were like
reflection.
we were making it like a gang sign podcast.
No, these are actually your drawings.
Oh, geez, wow.
And your
that-
handwriting on top.
Oh, that is my handwriting. Oh, you want to talk about my handwriting?
Not really, but if you want to get into it, sure.
So when we finally got this drawing done, right? And we were like, all right, we have it. Do you still have the original? Or do I have it somewhere in my disgusting desk?
I think I don't remember if I copied it and then gave you like the printout, like colored like print of it, and then I like wrote a message on the back, and then like you stuck it onto your wall.
I think
or
I kept. I feel like I gave it to you to keep, because I was like, you're gonna want to keep this. This is gonna be worth something. But what was cool was, and I don't think our viewers, listeners, people, I don't think they really know this, but you, for the first like, maybe not the first 3, but from episodes like 4 through 10, which was the duration of the school year that you were a part of, 2019, like you did modified versions of the logo.
Yeah, I did.
And you like hustled with those, because I'd be like, hey, I'm recording this week on the 2019 basketball champions. Can we get a basketball somehow in the logo? And you were like, yeah, sure. When do you need it by? I'm like, 4 days.
Yeah, it was like really quick.
Yeah, they're really good. You could only see them on Anchor because I uploaded each one individually. Do you have any personal favorites? I know which one was my favorite.
I think I really liked mine. I actually have it on my wall over there. And then
Yeah.
I think I liked episode 6.
Which one was episode 6?
That one was the one my brother was on, the gaming one.
Gaming one. Yeah, gaming one was great. We're going to talk about the episode you were on in a second. I think my personal favorite was the gossip, drama, and rumors.
That one was really good too.
You did the 2 silhouettes of people facing each other, like whispering the Monarch experience. I thought that one came out really cool. And you're so creative with that, and that's what I love. So your episode is one of my favorite episodes. I think I said it when we were recording. Like, that was easily one of my favorite episodes we've ever done with you, Angelina, and Marina on moving up to high school, just like the leaving behind 8th grade, what high school will be like, what you were expecting. Episode 10 was like one of my favorites. Love the design too. What did you do for the design?
That was the I could probably pull it off my wall.
Yeah, go ahead.
Graduation like cap.
Love it.
Castle, and then like over here has 2019.
Oh, I love the little touch 20. So good. So good. Chloe, I remember that episode, and the raw file, I probably have it somewhere, but I remember the edited version. I try to clean up a little bit. But I remember the raw file just being the 4 of us just laughing nonstop to a
It was
point
a
where,
lot of laughing.
like, a lot of laughing. Like, I remember editing it and I was all smiles. I was having such a great time just listening to it again, because I never go back and listen to episodes. When I edit it, I'm listening to it so much. That may be one that I would go back to listen to, just because I miss you guys. But like, I remember laughing so much even when I was editing it, because I'm like, half of this is unintelligible. It's just the 4 of us laughing like middle schoolers, and 3 out of 4 of us are middle schoolers. And I'm giggling along with the 3 of you. I really had such a blast doing that. And it was just like a great close to a great year professionally, a great year personally, and also just like a great, like the last episode of the podcast. I knew I was going to do it again the next year, but there was a little bit of a sense of like, all right, this is kind of like the end of something. Chloe, thank you so much for 1, for designing the logo, 2, for obviously always being a part of this podcast. You're always welcome to come on an episode, even though you're going to hate the sound of your own voice, but I'll try to maybe twist your arm like a little bit to get you on another episode in the future. And even though we're changing the logo, obviously the original logo is kind of going to always have a special place in my heart. No, really, I mean it. And I think for some people, it may be a little bit startling after 3 years to like, whoa, a new logo, what's this? How about the old one back? But I think people are going to be really pumped when they see the new official logo. So Chloe, you're the best.
All right, and I am so excited for you to see this reunion with Madison Mackenzie, Sammy Pine, and Victoria Dillon, the very first guests on the Monarch Experience podcast. Take it away.
All right, we've got Madison here. Madison, say hi.
Hi, everyone.
Now you can wave too. Usually in the podcast, it's like say something, and then there's like awkward eyes, like, what do I say? Sammy, say hey.
Hi.
Sammy is in 8th grade right now. Madison, you're a freshman in what school?
Biotech.
Nice. And you have stepped foot in biotech. Is total?
Yeah, like a couple times. I go 2 days a week.
Nice. Obviously not the freshman year you're envisioning, but I'm sure you're thriving despite it. Victoria, I know it says Tori. We've done this before, and we're going to do it now on air also. I'm still going to call you Victoria because you said it's your legal name.
All right. Yeah.
Awesome. Victoria, our former student council president. Victoria, you're a sophomore at Marlboro High School? Howell. Nice. And you've stepped foot in there for like 6 months total.
Yeah, about a few times.
Nice. A few times. Listen, it is so awesome to get to have the 3 of you back in one room now. But either way, I'm totally like getting nostalgic flashbacks to PTSD. That doesn't sound good. To when we first did the first ever episode of the Monarch Experience together. And I feel like today we're going to kind of get to like chat about what that experience was like, what your reactions were, how it grew since then, and just kind of take us on this maybe crazy journey of where this idea started and kind of how you three were seriously such a huge part of this. So when you said something about, we were like, what do you think the school should have more of, blah, blah, blah. And everybody was like, less homework. And you said how like something about the idea of like how in the movies, there's all the grades kind of, they're very fluid. Like freshmen know juniors and seniors are kind of friends with or know sophomores. And there's this like really like Disney-like vibe to schools. And you felt like our school, it was just like 6th grade does 6th grade things, 7th grade does 7th grade things, and 8th grade does just 8th grade things. Do you remember this at all, saying this?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, so I am going to give you credit. And I think that when you said that, seriously, you planted the idea of a podcast like in my head. Because I started thinking like, okay, I put a reminder in my phone for like October of that year. This was in like May, where like something about like unity and something about like bringing the school together like for like a common cause. I had no idea what I was even putting a reminder in, but I just felt like something you said like that really spoke to me. Not so dramatic, it spoke to me. And when the idea of the podcast kind of started like formulating in my egg-shaped skull, my sea level will love that reference. I just feel like it kind of really came back to that conversation with you, where you were like, I feel like we should have some kind of unity between the grades. Do you feel like the podcast did that at all? Do you feel like when your time in student council, you were able to make that happen? What's your reaction to all this, Victoria?
I think it really did, in the sense that maybe, we weren't like, as far as like me and my friends in my grade was concerned, I know that I wasn't like hanging out with a lot of 6th graders outside of school, but I could pass someone in the hall and they would be like, hey, Victoria. And they would, we could have a conversation about something that someone said on the podcast or something that happened like during the announcements or something like that. Yeah. And I think that really kind of, while it may have not been like catastrophic, I think it was definitely a noticeable change.
I love that. I think that's awesome. And then so once we like kind of got together to create this episode, I know like I asked the 3 of you because the 3 of you were in student council, and I felt like it would be a great way to, like you said, have an 8th grader, a 7th grader, and a 6th grader at the time on the podcast. We'd be bringing everyone together, 3 worlds colliding. We had no idea what we were going to do an episode on. I think, Victoria, we had a couple of ideas that we were tossing around. And I think ultimately, Victoria, you were like, let's do it on standardized testing. And I was like, can we do that? I don't know. That could get kind of, we may be like a one and done. Madison, when we kind of like settled on, all right, we're gonna do it on standardized testing. What do you remember what your thoughts were when you were getting ready to record this and the whole process?
Right. At first I was like, oh my gosh, like this is such a great idea, because I feel like standardized testing is something that everyone can, relate to. And then I realized that I would actually have to be the one speaking. And so that's when this festival starts, because I'm not necessarily scared of public speaking all that much. But when I speak unscripted, I tend to go on quite a bit of tangents. And I remember even in the first podcast, it was an intro. And I think we were discussing like, the ultimate debate, tacos versus burritos. And I went on like a whole rant about why burritos are better. So I was definitely a mixture of excited and nervous, but I think I love the topic.
I love it though. Like, I mean, I know a thing or two about tangents. I don't think I have like short answers. So Madison, I totally appreciate that. You did amazing. Sammy, Sammy, you're a 6th grader, and now like this is all you know. That's kind of cool actually. Your middle school experience in a way, like all you know is the podcast. I don't mean it like that. I mean like you've experienced your entire time at Memorial, and the podcast has pretty much been in existence. Did you think this was just like standard thing? What were your thoughts, Sammy, as a 6th grader going into this, where you were going to potentially talk about, standardizing and represent other people's thoughts?
Yeah, like I got in there and I was like, oh, they probably like do this all the time. Like I heard you guys like talking about it, of course, and stuff. But like I was like, oh, okay, we do this here. Like I don't know, I was nervous like Madison, I remember, to do it. Still nervous, but yeah, I just thought it was like a regular thing.
I was nervous too because like I had no idea what to do. I didn't know like what intro. I think I went through like 5 different intros, and then I actually didn't even keep it. I listened back to it when I went to edit it, and I was like, you sound like a fool. You're an idiot. And I went in the room during like period 3 and just like sat and re-recorded the intro like 17 times until eventually, all right, I need to leave. This is ridiculous. So we got together, we recorded this thing. I remember leaving. I remember my reaction, and it's not always like this after I record, but I remember leaving and feeling really good, like really, really good about it. I was like, man, they were articulate. They were funny. Like they had like meaningful things to say. And then when I finally published it, the thing like blew up, like 300 downloads on like the first day. And I just completely thought like, oh, like this will do okay. I kind of have a number in my head, but I was like, all right, like, some people will listen to it. And then like the feedback I got was crazy how supportive it was. How important for you guys in like your lives do you think that is to get positive feedback immediately when you're doing something and you're putting yourself out there for it?
You're asking someone. So I have never had, till this day, I don't have Snapchat. I don't have Instagram. All I have is TikTok. And like, I know people, they blow up on TikTok or whatever. So, and they think, positive feedback. I feel like it definitely can mean a lot when you put your feet in the water in something so new. Like even today, I was in school and I was telling people that I was coming back to do this podcast, and they're like, your school did podcasts? Like our school didn't do podcasts. So it was definitely something new, and to receive positive feedback, it definitely, was a confidence boost, I feel like, for our whole council.
That's awesome. And Madison, for you too, like I remember at the lip sync battle, it was like 20 minutes after Victoria called me like a Walmart Drake, I think. Or was it a Kmart Drake? Walmart or Kmart? Victoria, do you remember?
It was Walmart, because yeah.
Yeah. Kmart doesn't exist anymore, that's why.
Does it not?
I don't think so. I don't know.
I don't know.
Either way,
yeah.
I was highly offended, obviously. And I was in an outrage. And I went to the internet and I complained. And nothing happened. So Madison, I remember your dad came over to me actually and was like, hey, I got to tell you, like, love the podcast. It was really cool, but it was really cool like hearing my daughter speak about this. And like, I've never heard her like talk about things like this so like eloquently, and like she had such confidence, and it was really awesome. Like, what was Madison? What was your like, family or friends' reaction to it? Because it sounds like it was like overly positive.
Yeah, like my dad especially, like he's always working on another presentation, and he speaks and writes a lot for work, and I get a lot of my public speaking tips from him. So it definitely meant a lot to hear him say that. Like, we're very similar in the way he was in student senate growing up, and now even at biotech, like I'm class president. So it, from someone so similar, and from my dad, and from, I had a lot of friends, even peers, say, that it was a good idea and that it was a fun listen to. And so it meant a lot. It was really positive feedback, and I liked it.
That's awesome. Sammy, what was your experience like, especially again, 6th grade, right? New school and everything. And how was your family? How did friends respond to hearing you on it?
I remember when it came out, I wanted to show like everyone, and I was like, listen to the podcast. Like at drama, I remember going up to everyone, and my family, they all listened to it, and my friends actually, they still like listen to it. They're like, oh, I missed so many. Let me go back and like we'll rewatch it. And they're like, hey, Sammy, that's you on there.
That's awesome. Victoria, I almost called you Tori. No. What was your experience like once it got published and everything?
It was interesting because like my mom was one of the first people to listen to it. She was like, oh, that's so interesting, because like I had already talked to her about like my opinions on standardized testing and stuff like that. So she knew all my feelings about that, but she was like, I thought that was just you, but apparently there's like a lot of people feel that way. And I think that's also a lot of things that like something like this can do. Like some people will be like, oh, well, I feel like this, but I don't really think anyone else does. But then you have something like this and you're like, oh, these people feel the same way. And I go to school with them too. So like, we can talk about that.
Yeah, they're like real people. Like I know, like not that people online, I know we've joked about this in the past, but like it's not that people online are not real people, but it's so different when you're like, yeah, I sit next to that person. They feel the way I do. Like that person's on my bus and she feels the way I do. Victoria, yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. And I think what's so cool about that, what you just said too, is I never expected the parents to listen. Like, of course, like your parents would listen, but I never thought like parents in general would listen to other episodes. And that's some feedback that I got that was very eye-opening, where they were like, yeah, it's great. Like, I listen to it even if like my kid's not on it, because you know my son or my daughter might have the same opinions, and it just kind of gives me like an ear to the ground, so to speak, with like how teenagers are thinking, what they're feeling, because even if Victoria's not on an episode, there may be kids that feel the same way that Victoria does. So that was like a huge shock for me. I never thought that parents would be listening. God.
Well, I know it's a rocky beginning, but clearly the advertising worked pretty well, because, you know, word got around and people started listening to it eventually. And just to wrap it full circle, like it definitely, with the whole, when your friends would come up to you and like talk about like, oh, like you like burritos better? Or even, you know, like it was definitely, back to Tori's point, the grades intermingling and everything. So it definitely ties
Yeah.
in, like everyone's saying.
Yeah, I love that so much. So as we're wrapping things up here, Victoria, you had the great idea of doing like a review with the Umbrella Academy. Still watch the Umbrella Academy?
I do. They're filming season 3 right now.
How excited are you?
I'm very excited, especially especially after the ending of season 2, because I don't want to say anything, but like that was a huge cliffhanger twist.
You want to come back and do season 3 review?
Sure.
All right. You sound thrilled. You're like, oh God, no. So you came up with that idea of like, can we do like a review of like a show? And I was like, why not? There's no rules. And I think what was so cool is that us doing that in the first year, season 1, since then, like this whole year, half of this year, it feels like, has been reviews of shows, whether it's WandaVision or Star Wars or The Mandalorian, or like literally so many different shows. We've just been like, yeah, let's review this movie. And it feels like it kind of opened up the doors for potential episodes. So it's not only like school centric. Was that any weirder, or was that a different experience being on an episode we were talking about like a show as opposed to like standardized testing?
It was kind of different. I remember bringing up the idea just because me and like 2 of my friends were just like fan geeking out over it. So we were like, we want any chance to talk about this, so let's make a podcast episode about it. And I remember thinking that maybe this could, I wasn't thinking like, oh, this will open the door, but I was thinking, oh, maybe, you know, this could, if we do this, then it'll maybe draw in some other listeners who might not have been listening to the regular school centered ones. And then maybe also if this happens, then later on down the line, you can do like one of these like every now and then, you know? I didn't think it would be so much, you know?
Opening the doors, right? And like, again, finding things that create like unity or a commonality amongst people. So final thing is we're wrapping up here. I know I really credit the 3 of you for not just being awesome on the episode and it, you know, contributing to the success, but also like how encouraging you guys were with making it work. Because again, you guys could have been like, I guess if we're in student council, like kind of have to do this. Like, you know, the vibe you get when someone's just doing it because they feel like I guess I should. But you 3 were genuinely interested. So as creative people yourselves, what advice do you have for people that maybe are a little hesitant, or there's that feeling of self-doubt when they're trying to come up with creating something new or taking a chance and doing something maybe they normally wouldn't do? What advice do you have for them to like push past the self-doubt? Sammy, we'll start with you.
Well, I think that you should just go for it. Like, you only live once. Nobody's judging you. Go for it.
Walmart Drake once said, you only live once. Sammy, you know what? The last part is so true. No one is judging you. Like, or if you think people are judging you, odds are like they really are not. And that like, you're the biggest critic of yourself more than other people are. I love that. I think, Sammy, you are wise beyond your years. Madison, what are any advice for creative people, giving them the little push?
Yeah, I feel like you should always live life like never saying you should have done this or you should have done that. Like you should not look back and be like, oh, especially now we're in middle school. You guys are in middle school and everything, and so it's early, and it definitely gives you an opportunity to put your feet in the water, and you should do it quick because it can help you earlier in life. And if it fails and comes back in your face, then you just know for future experiences.
I love failing. Like, I mean, not like I don't like seek it out, but like, I mean, I'm totally okay with it because Victoria, you were in my class. I felt like twice a day, easily, just in one period alone. But I think like it's just a part of the process. And if you're trying to be someone who's creative, or you're creating content, or you're creating some kind of new idea, or you're trying to do something different, or push yourself, or challenging yourself, like you kind of have to fail. And like I think sometimes like being afraid that you'll fail becomes like an excuse not to just start something. Just start it. I love it. Victoria, any advice? You still create a ton of content, right?
Yeah, actually.
You want to plug?
Oh, sure. I have a YouTube channel just under the name Tori Dillon. That's where I post my my music videos and my short films I make. We actually just entered one into the Count Basie Film Festival and it got accepted. So
nice.
We won any awards there.
Congratulations. Congrats. Well, if it's anywhere near as good as the short film you did for the Idioms Project.
Right.
That's amazing. I'm so mad because I never got to show it because the next year COVID happened and we cut a lot of stuff towards the end of the year. And then obviously this year, like, I don't know if we'll get time to really do something like that, but when we do, your Idioms Project will definitely be shown. So go ahead, what advice do you have?
Kind of like what Sammy said, you have to do it. One of the hardest things about trying to get into making something creative is right before you start, because you're probably having these doubts where you're like, oh, like I'm looking at all these other people doing it and they're doing it so well, there's no way I could possibly be that good. And you just have to jump into it, because once you start, you'll realize that, oh, maybe this is a little bit easier than I thought, or maybe I just needed some practice. And once you start doing something and once you start creating, it's just the fun and joy of making it a lot of times completely overshadows well, maybe it's not good or other people's is better, you know?
Thank you. Good night. Amazing. Like it's so true. It's so true. Victoria, Sammy, Madison, so great that you three got to come back, got to kind of relive episode 1. I definitely got to give it a listen. I don't know if I want to give it a listen because of all the things that Victoria just said, that I'm totally going to not compare it to other podcasts, but compare it to like where it is now, and me just be like, oh God, why'd you say that? You're so dumb. But it really was so awesome getting to chat with the three of you, and really, really fantastic. So I'll end it here. I'll throw it to Studio Ancona.
All right, I hope that you enjoyed this conversation that I got to have with Victoria, Madison, and Sammy as we relived our amazing first episode on standardized testing and seeing how they have been and what they've been up to. But we still got plenty more logos to go, and I hope you're ready for them. So take it away, Student Council.
Love the smile on the picture. It gives a friendly and warm vibe to it.
This one is really good because I can tell they put a lot of effort in the lines, because I've done like the digital design like logo stuff, and it takes a lot of time to make it perfect. So I really like that. I really like the spikes because it makes it even more like line-like, and it makes it look real. So I really like that.
I love how simple the logo is and like the colors they used.
I kind of see this on a coffee mug or like some formal event. I see this on a football helmet or like a sports team.
Yeah, I love how simple it is. I love how cute it is, and the little detail of the spikes and the headphones are cute.
a lot of effort. It looks like a drawing, which I know takes a while. So it looks really nice.
I love the color of the lion's mane. It's different and unique.
And the lettering and just everything about it, like the contrast in color, the background, everything matches and it looks incredible.
I love how it gives like the idea that it's a podcast, and I like the microphone and how like her school logo's on it.
Again, like that formal vibe type of deal.
Thank you to Student Council. Before we finally see the official new logo for the Monarch Experience podcast, I want to take some time to thank some very important people and groups. Thank you, Student Council, for working so hard at designing and figuring out how we were going to go about doing this logo design contest, and all of your contributions to the Monarch Experience podcast, our sole focus this year. Thank you to the AV Club and specifically Mr. Bucci. Without you, we would not have been able to do this entire video. Thank you to the Royal Heirs, who you're going to hear from very soon. And thank you to all of the students who submitted close to 20 logos trying to make their mark on this podcast. And now, for the moment you've all been waiting for, the new official logo of the Monarch Experience podcast. Are you ready? Because, whoo, I'm ready. Here it is. How incredible does this thing look? So good! Alan Liang, congratulations. 6th grader with incredible talent. Alan, I am so proud of the work that you've accomplished. I'm so proud of this logo. This thing is going to look awesome when 34 states are downloading our podcast, when 20 different countries are downloading this podcast, and when this podcast continues to be the voice of students, not just in Memorial, but worldwide. Teachers, make sure that as this is coming to an end that you are please posting the trivia that will be on Google Classroom for our students to be able to participate in. The winners for the trivia on the Monarch Experience podcast are going to be able to take 2 to 3 of their friends to an outdoor picnic, aka you're going to get to eat lunch outside. How amazing is that? So get on there, make sure that you're doing the trivia right now, and keep your eyes and ears open for merchandise. That's right, you heard us right, finally! The Monarch Experience podcast is going to have merchandise, t-shirts, hoodies. Going to have a whole bunch of different options. Keep your eyes and ears peeled for that. Make sure that you're following us on social media, on Snapchat and Twitter. See ya!
But don't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us, for your glorious. When the shadows rise and cut me down, I'm gonna send a flood, gonna drown them out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me. Look out, this is here I come. And I'm rushing on to be a drum. I'm not scared to be seen. I make no apologies. This is me. This is bruised, this is who I'm meant to be. This is me.